Hello guys, this is What About Nintendo, and today I'm here for another video. In this video, I'm going to be going over whether or not I think it's possible for a Switch Pro to hit base PS4 levels of power. I've gotten a lot of information gathered here. We're making a good, educated guess here, but there's a lot of things to go over, so let's get right on into it. So as I said, I'm not over here just being like, oh, yes, Switch can do this, Switch can do that, I just know things. No, I've actually been researching for a while. I'm trying to get myself to be in the know about graphics and different things like that. I watch people like Digital Foundry, I research a lot of things, so I've got a lot of these facts from many different reputable places. I'm not just pulling these numbers out of my ass and being like, yep, this is how powerful these things are. No, I've done a lot of information, so don't worry about that. I'm always the kind of guy who hates people who just go around spouting random facts, so don't worry about me doing any of that in this video. However, of course, there's a lot of things we just don't know, so some speculation will be put in here, but everything's based off of real, factual numbers. So let's get right on into it. So, people are thinking, the Switch Pro is being rumored for next year. The Wall Street Journal says some kind of Switch revision should be coming next year, and a lot of people think it might be a Switch Pro. And some people are wondering, how powerful could a Switch Pro be? Is it able to get to the power of a PS4? Well, what is the power of a PS4? I think that's the first question you should ask when you think, how powerful, can a Switch get to this power? Well, how powerful exactly is that? So, the PS4 has 1.8 teraflops of FP32 compute. It also has 3.8 teraflops of FP16 compute. However, you really only should care about the FP32, as that's what most games run on, but I put the FP16 in there just because it's going to be important later. It also runs on a 28nm process, which isn't important right now, but as I said for the last one, it's going to be important later, so keep that in mind. It is 8GB of DDR5 with 176 GB per second bandwidth. It has an 8-core CPU, and it runs at 135 watts. So that is the power the Switch needs to be targeting. However, is this possible? Let's go and see what the current Switch specs are. How far are we currently from this? And a lot of people, if you ask them how many teraflops does the Tegra X1 inside the Nintendo Switch have, and they'll be like, oh, well, obviously it has 1024 gigaflops, or 1.024 teraflops of compute power, and versus a 1.84 of the PS4. And while that's not necessarily wrong, it's not exactly, it's sort of misleading. The Tegra X1, the base Tegra X1, does have 1024 gigaflops of compute power. However, that is FP16, something nearly no game uses anymore to run anything. Typically, most games, 95% of games these days, and pretty much every major game being made, uses FP32, which the Switch only has 512 gigaflops of. And a lot of people put 1.024, including myself, until I did some more research of this, comparing that to 1.84, saying that the Switch is actually near over half the power of the PS4. However, the PS4 is 1.84 of 32, FP32. It actually has 3.68 teraflops of FP16 compared to 1 teraflop of FP16 on the Tegra X1. So it is actually over 3 times as powerful as the Tegra X1. A much bigger gap than a lot of people realize, or even myself realized. Now there's some other Tegra X1 specs. It has a 20nm process, 4GB of LPDDR4 at 24.56 GB per second bandwidth. Much less than a quarter of the RAM, memory bandwidth. So very, very low on that. It has 4 A57 cores for its CPU, and it also has 4 weaker A53 cores, but these aren't enabled on the Switch, don't worry about it. Oh, also, did I mention that 512 gigaflops of FP32 is actually less in the current Switch? It's actually closer to 400, even when docked, because the Switch is heavily downclocked compared to the base Tegra X1. So you actually have an even bigger gap there compared to the base PS4. And this runs at 15 watts. So the next processor up would be the Tegra X2. How close does this get to a PS4? In my last video I made on the Switch hardware revision, thought that this could get it to Xbox One level of power. What is Xbox One level of power? Let's go over that as well. Xbox One is 1.31 teraflops of FP32 with 2.6 teraflops of FP16. It runs on a 28nm process, just like the PS4. It has 8 GB of DDR3, much worse than the DDR4 in the PS4, at only 68.26 GB per second. However, that destroys what's in the current Switch at 5.6. It has an 8-core CPU, which is pretty much identical to the one in the PS4, and it runs at 115 watts. So, compare that to the Tegra X2. Not knowing the difference between FP16 and FP32, saw that it had a max of 1.5 gigaflops, or 1500 gigaflops, or 1.5 teraflops. This was exciting to me, because that's actually more than the Xbox One, except it's not, because that's, as I said, FP16. The FP32 is actually 750, exactly half. FP16 is always twice as much as FP32. So it has 750 gigaflops of power. So roughly, it's actually about half as powerful as an Xbox One, and way less than that for about even almost a third as powerful as a PS4. So we're not getting to PS4 or Xbox One levels with that either. However, it runs on a 16nm process, which is a good upgrade compared to the X1, so it only runs at 7.5 watts compared to 15 watts, much more energy efficient there. It would likely have 8 GB of LP low power DDR4 at 58.4 GB per second, so it actually does come close to Xbox One in RAM. And it has 4 of the A57s that are in the Xbox One CPU cores, and 2 more powerful Denver cores for its CPU. So it actually has a much more powerful CPU than that of the Switch. So this would be a very nice upgrade. The RAM is very close to that of the Xbox One normal. It is much more powerful CPU. It's more energy efficient, and it is a good bit more powerful than the normal X1. However, we're still not getting to the power of an Xbox One or PS4. So, we go to the last chip, the newest chip that Nvidia is making right now, their newest of their mobile chipsets that they're making at the moment, and it is Xavier. Now, does this get to PS4 levels? No, it doesn't. It has 1.4 teraflops of FP32, which is more than the Xbox One, but less than a PS4 by about 4.4 teraflops. That is 2.8 teraflops of FP16. It runs at a 12nm process, so it's very, very energy efficient compared to the X1, and even more energy efficient than the X2, which was already half as, twice as energy efficient as the X1. However, the specs aren't completely clear, so we don't know how much RAM this is to get to this memory output, but apparently its max memory output is 137 gigabytes per second, which is about twice as much as what's in the Xbox One, and gets pretty close to the 176 gigabytes per second of the PS4. It has 8 of their new Caramel cores for its CPU, which we're not exactly sure how powerful that is, but I mean, it's really hard to say. The problem with CPUs is they don't have like teraflop counts. They don't have a specific count that says, this is how much better it is than this. This is how much peak performance it has. CPUs don't really have that for some reason. I'm not really sure if anybody know of anything like that can be used for CPUs. It'd be very helpful. But pretty much you can just compare them side by side. So all we have really to go on without getting, really into the specs or just comparing it side by side in 2 exact same games, we can't say how much more powerful this is. but it does have 8 cores, and considering what Xavier is meant for, which is AI and stuff, I'm assuming these are powerful cores, probably more powerful than those in the PS4. But it consumes 20 to 30 watts, so it's actually much more, even though it runs on a 12 nanometer process, it takes a lot more power than the other two. Now, you might be thinking, oh my gosh, we reached the newest chip from NVIDIA, and it's still not to PS4 levels. Therefore, there's no way the Switch could reach PS4 levels of power. It's just not gonna happen. Switch Pro just isn't gonna have this. And I would say that that is not completely true, because the one thing about Xavier is what I just mentioned. It is made specifically for AI. There is a lot of things in Xavier that has nothing to do with gaming, that wouldn't help gaming at all, that's taking up a lot of silicon, where they could just put in more CUDA cores, which if you don't know what a CUDA core is, it's the graphical cores, you know, that run your games. They have more space since they have 12 nanometers. They're very much smaller. They're very much more energy efficient. They can put more in. The fact that it's 20-30 watts is because it has all this crazy other stuff in there that's running for AI. If they made a custom gaming version of Xavier, I actually do think that they could get it to PS4 levels or higher. However, would they want to do this? Because it would be expensive. You have to have R&D. Obviously, putting in more CUDA cores and different things, better CPU, more RAM, would cost more money. Having better, just newer technologies just cost more money. And a lot of people are wanting them to kind of get out a Switch Pro for $300 and raise and lower the current price to $200. However, they go for a modified Xavier, something with PS4 or higher levels of power, then it would probably be $350 to $400, and then you're getting into the PS4 Pro comparisons with price there, and that's just not too good. It just doesn't hold up. It's only going to be as powerful as the PS4. However, it is still possible that Nintendo works out a good deal with NVIDIA. We don't really know how much more expensive this chip would cost. We don't really know how much more expensive the R&D for a custom chip would be. Have NVIDIA been working on this in the background, a custom chip for the Switch Pro in the background for Nintendo, and giving them good prices? And NVIDIA's mobile department has just exponentially increased in profits since the Nintendo Switch. And so NVIDIA may well be willing to give them a good price on a chip. But of course, as I said, this is theoretical. We don't know how much we don't know how expensive an Xavier custom chip would be. We don't know if they could get to 1.84 teraflops or more at a good wattage. However, I would assume, considering just how much is in this Xavier, with the graphical computational that it already has at 1.4 teraflops, with the insane amount of AI tech that's in there that would not need to be in the Switch, and so much more that's just in there that does not need to be there, I think they could definitely get it to 15 or less watts and put that into the Switch. The question just remains, will Nintendo do this, and how much money would it actually be? Well, anyways, guys, that's all for this video. Sorry if it was a bit long, but I wanted to get you guys the real facts about this. I took a lot of time researching, so be certain that these facts are true. These are from credible sites. I took several different sites in order to cross-reference and make sure these numbers are true, and they are, in fact, the numbers that are, you know, in these systems. So, thank you guys all for watching. Let me know down in the comments below what you think. Do you think that Nintendo would release a PS4 class Switch Pro, or do you think they would go with something like the Tegra X2 to keep costs down while still getting a pretty decent upgrade over the Tegra X1? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Anyways, guys, if you like this video and want to see more videos like this, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, I do gaming live streams Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and I do Coffee Talk Monday through Friday, where I chat with all you guys about the latest Nintendo news. Anyways, guys, thank you all for watching. I'll see all you dudes later on What About Nintendo. Bye!